welcome, firstly to England, secondly to the College of Psychic Studies of all places.
What better place to be?
And thirdly to your movie.
Thank you.
Welcome to your movie. I must admit that I was blown away at the depth, the intimacy, the reality of issues, and how open the movie was, where I went in thinking, more American Hollywood trash that's just going to take the piss of men who are embarrassed in front of women and not get anywhere. So full marks to you straight away.
But thank you for saying that. It was a big ambition of mine to make a film that did not subscribe to the typical Hollywood satire about men, that myself, who's been involved in men's work, has been enduring that kind of buffoonery for a long time. And no, I wanted to really make a more holistic picture of men today and what they're going through.
Why? In a nutshell, where did that come from?
Wow. Well, I would start off by saying I'm very connected to this idea that men benefit from working together in groups. I've been part of men's groups for almost 20 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, it started, I was a younger man who was going through a lot of trouble in terms of my identity, my feelings about being a man, my uncertainty. And I found myself drawn into these groups where men were talking more honestly about who they are, what they feel, their fears, their shame, their grief, their joy and their power as well. And I really needed to hear that and find it for myself. And so, after many years of participating and feeling inspired by that work, as an actor and filmmaker, I said, this is a subject I really would love to bring it into the mainstream. I've been inspired by it, many other men have, but I still feel it's been marginalized, it's been threatening to society. What are these men doing? Why are they doing it? We should be suspicious of them or laugh at them. And I'm done with that. I want to bring it into the mainstream and say, no, men need to talk to each other. They benefit from it in many ways, which we can discuss. And I'd like to bring a film, a fictional film, not a documentary, into a story about what goes on in such a group and bring it to a wider audience if I can.
So what I'm hearing you say is that it's something that helped you with your growth and to get over your stuff to make you the man that you are today.
Well, I certainly hope so.
So are you also saying, because some of the stuff in that movie was nuts, in a way. In another way, some of it was, it's not the way I've been running men's groups, 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
It's not what we do in my men's groups, though I have been in one or two groups where that kind of thing, and that kind of thing you're going to have, people who are going to have to watch the movie to see what that kind of thing is.
Watch the movie to see what that kind of thing really means.
It's not, that kind of thing's not normal in the mainstream world. So I wonder whether that kind of thing is normal in your groups or...
So, okay, let me speak to that. So when we say that kind of thing, what are we euphemizing indeed? First of all, let's break it down. The film presents a modern day men's group that gets together once a month, not that often, but once a month to break bread together. They have a breakfast, and then they sit down to talk about their lives and try to share as honestly as possible and receive support from one another. That's the basic engine of the film. On this particular day, things do not go quite as planned. A newcomer has come to the group, which in a way is a way for the audience to kind of come into such a phenomenon with a guy who's a newcomer. How does he see this group? And it looks like long-standing conflicts and distrust that has built up over a period of years is coming to the fore. One man looks like he may be in crisis and heading toward a breakdown. And it ignites things in the group, and it becomes quite volatile. And they do act out in various ways that, yes, you would not necessarily see in, let's say, a normal, everyday men's group. And that is artistic license, if you will, to tell a story. You need conflict. You need to tell what would, perhaps this is the story of 10 or 12 years of a group, and when they've come to a place of trust where they could actually even go to some very volatile places. And
they did.
And they did.
That was one of the things, I felt that in the beginning of the movie, there were issues, things came up, it was fun, got to know the characters, got allowed in, etc., etc. What I didn't expect was, at some stage, I was squirming. It was embarrassing, it was taboo, there was depth, there was stuff that, no, this is rigged. Let's pretend it's not there. And you went there. And it's not like went there in a vulgar way or a titillating way.
No.
It was touching on it. And in the screening there were quite a few blokes that come to my groups, and it was interesting to see which bits touched them, which bits brought things alive in them, and how they squirmed. So
and challenge.
Exactly. Exactly.
I wanted the film to be challenging, but in the most inviting way possible. So focusing on what is so uncomfortable about sitting with other men and listening to their stories, what it triggers in us, seeing things in the other men that they obviously don't see in themselves, but we see them. From the leaders of a group to those who are in crisis. Everybody has something they're hiding to some degree.
And how clever the way you allow people to avoid and then for it to come around. The way that, and for me this is real life experience, the way that the men care enough to take risks for the good of the other men.
Ultimately, I think, one of the main messages of the film is that men have not only the capacity, but they have a real motivation to care about each other.
Given half a chance.
Given half a chance, given the time to spend together. They do not want to see their brother go over the edge. They do not err on the side of negativity. They want the best for the other man. It may mean holding the other man's feet to the fire, as we say, and really going and pressing into that sensitive place and challenging him. But ultimately, the film goes to places of real vulnerability, and that's kind of what we're talking about, I think, is male vulnerability. We walk around in this life as males thinking, I can't be vulnerable, can't show that. That's not how I'm trained. That's I'm expected to buck up and get through life. And I think we talked earlier about the idea about men in descent, the idea of descending. Descent, is like verboten in our society. You have to stay up all the time. And survive.
And that's one of the biggest tragedies for me. I mean, I feel, in a lot of ways, the difference between a boy and a man is a boy is surviving. A boy can't deal with anyone's pain or not being safe, or possibly being rejected, or possibly being abandoned, or all of these things that survive at the cost of his life. Irrespective of age, that's survival. Where a man, well, it's not reacting to life and surviving, it's responding with choice and taking part in life. And that's a totally different story. And I saw that transition in the movie. I see that transition in groups. I surround myself with people in that transition or on the other side, because I know what it's like to be a surviving boy at the age of, teens, 20s, 30s. I'm now 52 this year, for crying out loud. And I catch myself, and it's up to me to come to and turn it around.
What do we do with our fear? We're not allowed to feel fear. What does a man do? Well, statistics show a lot of men choose a way out. They go to suicide, or they go into depression.
Get unconscious.
They get unconscious with drugs, with drinking, and numb it out. Because I'm not allowed to be afraid. Guess what? We're all afraid. And to the degree that we could embrace and share it and you get to the other side of it.